Today in class and really this week we've been talking a lot about percent and applying percent to aspects of our lives. And one of the most common places we'll see that is dealing with sales tax and discounts or sales. And yesterday we were looking at how you can do it by taking your amount, and we'll show a quick example of that. Let's say we had a $40 jacket and there was a 20% discount on it. So we know that our price, since it's $40 and it's a discount, we know that it's going to be less than $40 at the end of the day when we buy it. So we'll figure out how to do that. We set up our part, percent, and our whole. Our part, whole, and percent. And in this case, the jacket itself, that's our whole price, is going to be 40, and our percent is 20%, which leaves us is that we're finding out the part. We're finding out how much is actually going to be on sale. How much are we not going to have to pay? So at this point, you could use any of the percent equations. You could put them up in the proportions. You could multiply the whole times the percent turned into a decimal. We'll do it with proportions just to keep things consistent. Part over whole equals percent over 100. And then I solve this by cross multiplying. So that gives me 100x equals 20 times 40. 100x equals 800. And we divide by 100 on both sides. And that tells us that x equals 8. Okay, so our unknown amount, the whole part, was 8. And so if we have $8 for our part, that's not going to be our final answer. We know it's definitely going to still cost more than $8 to buy that jacket. So what we do is we then say, oh, it was a discount, so we're going to be paying less. So we would take that 40 and we would subtract 8, and we would end up with $32 as our total price of what it would cost. And we're assuming there's no tax here. For all these problems, we're assuming you're either just working with percent or just working with tax. We're not really seeing a combination. And that's just to kind of make things a little bit more focused. Now, there's another way that we can do this problem. Okay, so this way we found out the value of the discount, and then we subtracted it from the total price, or from the original price. Another way we can do it, we'll do the same problem. So we have our $40 jacket, and we have a discount of 20%. But then we're going to think about it, rather than subtracting the discount at the end, we're going to think, how much are we really paying for the jacket? So we know that 100% of the price is that $40. Right? If I was paying 100% of the price, I'd be paying $40. But it's cheaper than that. It's actually 20% less. So I can actually take that 20% and I can take it away. Okay, so if I have the 100% here, I'm going to pull 20% away. And that's going to leave me with that I am really only purchasing, I only have to pay 80% of the price. So if I had that 100%, I can take away the 20% that I do not have to pay, and that's going to leave me with 80%. So in class we talked about this as rewriting the percent. We take it, if it's a discount, we are going to subtract that discount, and that tells us that what we were paying. We're paying 80% of the price. Now if we do the subtraction here, we do not have to do subtraction at the end. So if you were making mistakes because you were forgetting to add or subtract that part, maybe you couldn't remember whether to add or subtract, this might be a good method for you. So now I'm working with 80%. So now I'm going to solve my problem using the same method that I used before. So my part is the unknown. The whole is going to be 40, and then I'm going to use my new percent. This is what I am actually paying. Okay, so this is 80%. So we see the difference. This was the part, okay, that we are not paying. This is the part that we are paying. So we're working with 80%. X over 40 equals 80 over 100. Cross multiply it to solve. I get 100x equals 3,200 divided by 100. Those cancel, these two zeros cancel, and I get x equals 32, or $32. So this part right here, 80% of the whole amount, is going to be $32. We can see it's the same price at the end. Just this way we figured out the value of the discount and then subtracted that. This one we subtracted the part of the percent, and then that gave us our final answer. We're going to do one more example, and that's going to be using sales tax. So we can also use this method for figuring out the cost if there is sales tax. All right. So the way we can do that is, let's say you have some $30 pants, and they are on sale. They have a tax of 9%. They are not on sale. So you're going to stop and you're going to think, okay, is my final price going to be more than $30 or less than $30? Well, it's going to be more because I have to pay a tax. So I'm going to need more than $30 to walk out the store with those pants. So I know that 100% of the price, that's going to be $30. But in this case, I actually going to have to pay more than 100%. I'm going to have to pay 100% plus that 9%. I'm going to have to pay a total of 109% of the price to walk out the door with those. So then that's going to be our final percent. Right? If we were working like at this method, we would just do the 9% and I would add that at the end. This time I'm going to add the percents first, and then I would just solve it. I have my part, my whole, and my percent. So just same method. And again, when you're doing this, if you have another method for solving once you have these three values, you can totally use that. So if you're used to turning this into a decimal and then multiplying that by the whole, that will totally work. Okay. So I'm going to do proportions though, just to be consistent. X over 30 gives me 109 over 100. Again, we're working with more than 100% here. I would cross multiply these. 100x equals 30 times 109. I'm running out of room down here. Or 100x equals 3,270 if I did my multiplication. Divide by 100. You can see I'm squeezing it in there. And I would get x is equal to $32.70. Now I always want to, $32.70 $. I always want to stop and think, is that reasonable? Does that make sense? Well, let's see. The pants were $30 in the first place. I had a little bit of tax to pay. It's pretty close to 10%. 10% would be $3. So yeah, that seems like a reasonable answer. Okay, if I had $3,000, I could even stop and say, does that make any sense to pay $3,000 for a pair of pants? No, it does not. So maybe I forgot to move my decimal. So this is a way that I'd like you to work on your homework tonight. On Friday, when you take your quiz, you can solve the percents this way by finding the value and then adding or subtracting at the end, or you can do it this way, where you recalculate or adjust your percent and then solve. Both of them will work.